She may be gone, but she's not forgotten. Let's explore the real life of the woman behind TV's favorite black mom. Isabel Sanford was born on August 29, 1917, in New York City. She was the youngest of 7 children, and she was the only child who survived beyond infancy. Her parents were very religious, especially because of all of the loss they had experienced by the time she was born. She attended church every week and sometimes on weekdays at her mother's request. When Isabel became a teenager, she expressed interest in acting to her mother, who immediately turned down. Over the next few years of her life, her mother would constantly remind her that acting was a slippery slope into damnation. Isabel outwardly agreed with her mother, but she secretly began to plot how she would build a career as an actress behind her back. In New York, the Apollo Theater was where you went when you wanted people to decide if you had talent or not. Isabel believed this would be her big shot, as a lot of people used their success at Apollo night to decide if they had a shot at the industry at all. The crowd was known for being absolutely ruthless with contestants of any age. But the Apollo Theater was one of the few venues in the United States where African American performers could showcase their talents during times of racial segregation and discrimination. It provided a platform for black artists to gain recognition and success, contributing significantly to the development of black culture and entertainment. So artists who were seeking approval from the black community would go there to get their start, despite how rough it could be if they messed up. Isabel decided to take a chance on her dreams and perform at the theater and local clubs, despite promising her mother that she wouldn't. She was a success, and decided after graduating high school that she would follow her dreams regardless of her mother's dismissal. She joined the Negro Theater and made her debut in 1946, acting in On Strives Row. In 1971, Sanford made television history when she was cast as Weezie Jefferson, the loving and supportive wife of George Jefferson, on the comedy sitcom All in the Family. Her portrayal of Weezie resonated with audiences, offering a nuanced portrayal of an African-American woman navigating life in a predominantly white neighborhood, especially because a lot of audience members felt like she reminded them of their own African-American mothers. The success of All in the Family led to the spin-off series The Jeffersons, which premiered in 1975. The Jeffersons followed the Jefferson family as they moved on up to a deluxe apartment. Sanford's chemistry with her co-stars, particularly Sherman Hemsley as George Jefferson, was undeniable, and she quickly became one of TV's favorite moms. The Jeffersons was one of the first shows on American TV to be centered around an upper-middle-class black family. It paved the way for The Cosby Show and established some of the tropes in these family-centered sitcoms that we still see now. One of the most important parts of her role on the show was its groundbreaking portrayal of an upwardly mobile African-American family. At a time when the representation of people of color on television was limited, the show broke barriers by depicting a successful African-American couple living a life of luxury and success. Isabel's portrayal of Weezie challenged stereotypes and showcased the diversity of the African-American experience. In 1981, Sanford made history when she became the first African-American woman to win an Emmy Award for Outstanding Lead Actress in a comedy series for her role on The Jeffersons. She created the crack in the door for other African-American women in the industry to be appreciated for their talents and achievements in the entertainment industry. She was a highly decorated actress. She had 13 nominations for her lead actress role in The Jeffersons, 2 of which she won. We may remember the show fondly, but the ratings sure don't. Despite the fact that a lot of people loved the show, audiences were getting bored with the show's formula. The network threatened to cancel the show if the ratings didn't go up, and by 1985, the show had dropped below the top 30 in rankings and was subsequently canceled. Click the subscribe button and notification bell to find out about the lives of the Black Hollywood stars behind the screen. She appeared in other films, television shows, and stage productions after her time on the show. From her early roles in films such as Guess Who's Coming to Dinner to her guest appearances on shows like The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Isabel was still a high-demand actress after the show. She mostly made appearances in single episodes in certain shows and did small roles in films. Isabel had surgery on her carotid artery in 2003. This was meant to be a preventative procedure, but the side effects soon began to affect her health. Over time, she got worse and had to be hospitalized and placed under constant care. Although the surgery was meant to be safe, she passed away soon afterward, at the age of 86. People believe that the circumstances of her death were suspicious because she passed away shortly after surgery when she was supposed to be getting better. Basically, don't believe that her death was related to the surgery, as her publicist claimed that it was instead a result of natural causes. No one was found culpable. She was later given a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. There was no police investigation because it was decided that there was nothing suspicious about the death of Isabel Sanford. Her passing was attributed to natural causes, and to this day there were no indications of any suspicious circumstances surrounding her death. Isabel was also known for her warmth, wit, and generosity. She was beloved by her castmates and colleagues, who admired her professionalism and dedication to her craft. Born and raised in Harlem, she grew up in a time of racial segregation and discrimination. Racial discrimination in the United States during that time was deeply entrenched and pervasive, shaping nearly every aspect of society. Isabel was born during a time when Jim Crow laws, segregation, and widespread racism were characterized by systematic oppression and violence against African Americans, as well as discrimination against other minority groups. Jim Crow laws, which legalized racial segregation and discrimination, were pervasive throughout the South and even in some parts of the North. These laws mandated separate facilities for African Americans and whites in virtually every aspect of public life, including schools, transportation, restaurants, restrooms, and housing. African Americans faced constant harassment, humiliation, and violence if they dared to challenge these unjust laws. Despite all this, her passion for performing led her to pursue a career in acting. In an interview, she stated, "I wasn't young, I wasn't pretty, and I was a black woman looking for success in a business where those attributes were certainly not in demand in the 1960s. She refused to take roles that would typecast her as a token black woman. Despite the money put on the table and how much she needed it, she chose to never buckle on this principle, and it may have paid off with the Jeffersons, but there were times when her insistence on this rule sabotaged her financial security. She decided to work on the Jeffersons because she trusted the creator of the show to do her character justice, and he did. The show was written by an entirely non-black writing room. However, the actors took control of the characters they played by adding complexity and not playing into stereotypes about African American mannerisms that were so pervasive on television at the time. But the show did sometimes try to cover African American specific issues on the show. One notable example is the episode titled Louise's Cookbook, which originally aired in the show's 6th season. In this episode, Isabel Sanford's character Louise decides to publish a cookbook featuring her famous recipes, but she faces rejection from multiple publishers who refuse to take on her project. Initially, Louise is puzzled by the rejections, as she believes her recipes are delicious and worthy of publication, but it becomes clear that the publishers are unwilling to publish a cookbook written by a black woman. This episode highlights the systemic racism and discrimination prevalent in the publishing industry, where African American authors often faced barriers to having their work recognized and valued. Despite her talent and culinary expertise, Louise is discriminated against solely because of her race. As the episode unfolds, Louise's husband, George Jefferson, played by Sherman Hemsley, becomes increasingly outraged by the publisher's rejection of Louise's cookbook. He confronts the publishers and demands an explanation for their discriminatory practices. George's frustration and anger reflect the broader struggles faced by African Americans in their fight for equal rights and opportunities. Ultimately, Louise's perseverance and determination prevail, as she refuses to give up on her dream of publishing her cookbook. With the support of her family, she decides to self-publish the cookbook, demonstrating resilience in the face of adversity. By depicting the challenges and injustices encountered by the Jefferson family, the show sparked important conversations about race, equality, and social justice. It served as a platform for addressing issues of racial discrimination in a relatable and accessible manner, contributing to greater awareness and understanding of the struggles faced by African Americans in American society. And the quality of the story was not compromised by the demographic experiences of the writers behind it. It still felt true and genuine to the people who were playing it, something Isabel deeply valued. Isabel had an estimated net worth of $3 million by the time of her passing. According to public records, she owned a home in Beverly Hills, California, which was sold and modernized after her passing. Isabel was married twice and had 3 children. She married her first husband, Edward, in 1945. They had 3 children, Sanford, Eric, and Pamela. They separated in 1960, and when Isabel left him, taking the children with her, he died that same year. Click on this next video and uncover the life of another Black Hollywood star. Who was your favorite character on The Jeffersons?